Well, greetings and salutations. Last week when we ended, it was plumb crazy. It seemed like everyone, including King Saul, lost their marbles. Now David saw his chance to get the heck out of there, and he went straight to Jonathan for some answers. Now David was like, dude, what did I do? And seriously, why is he trying to off me? Well, now listen up. It doesn't matter to Jonathan that David would eventually become king, take his father's place, and even Jonathan's place as the heir apparent, because he's pledged to always have his buds back. But Jonathan was caught off guard by David's question. Now, how do you know Dad wants to kill you? He asked. So they talk about it and they come up with a plan. Well, David and Jonathan went back to Saul's crib, and so the plan was set in motion. David, well, he didn't show up for an important dinner with the king and his family, even though everyone expected him to be there. So when the king asked Jonathan why David was a no-show, well, Jonathan was supposed to lie and say David was chilling with his own family. The hope was to gauge whether Saul would blow up or lose his cool. Well, he was filled with so much hate that he grabbed his spear and he hurled it at Jonathan. Bam! That just happened. And definitely that settled it once and for all. Dave was definitely in deep doo-doo. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, he patiently waited for the signal from Jonathan. The plan was that Dave would hide near the target on the archery range. Jonathan would fire 3 arrows near the target, and that would signal to Dave that he knows that he's safe. But if he shot past the target, well, that meant danger. Well, Jonathan, he shot those arrows a freaking mile away from the target. David's worst fears were confirmed. Saul was out for blood. So David came out, he was overwhelmed with love and gratitude for his friend's loyalty. The two bros, well, they held each other. They cried over Saul's messed up actions. Not only had the king rejected David, but he wanted him dead. It meant that their friendship and their families would be torn apart forever. David cried even harder than Jonathan. And that's why Jonathan knew for sure that God was on David's side and that he was destined to become king. So not only did Jonathan risk his own life to protect David, but he stuck by him till the very end. And check out this last words from Jonathan that he spoke to his beloved friend. Go in peace, bro, he said. We made a vow to be friends forever in the name of the Lord. The Lord is our witness, and our descendants will always have each other's backs. And David left, and Jonathan went back to town. And we're going to continue now in 1 Samuel chapter 21. But let's get real for him. Saul is out to cook David's goose. Well, and our buddy Dave, he has to make a run for it. And he heads to Nob. Now he rolls into Nob right up to Amalek, the priest. Now this poor dude Amalek, he's shaking in his boots. Bro, why are you by yourself? And where are all your homies? He knows something big's up. Here's the son-in-law of the king, without food, shelter, armor, weapons, none of his fighting men. Things are obviously not good. But now Dave, he screws up big time. Instead of seeking help from God, Dave takes matters into his own hands and he resorts to lies for protection. Gee, what a great idea, huh? Of course, we all kind of get why he lied, and we might even sympathize with him a little. But let me tell you, David will regret that lie big time. Just you wait and see. So David says, nah, man, the king sent me on a secret mission, told me to keep it down low. And as for my guys, well, I told them to meet me somewhere else. But listen, I'm about starving to death. Can you get me some grub? Well, Amalek finds himself on the spot. And sorry, Dave, we got no regular bread, just this special bread here, the holy kind, that's meant for the priests. But David just keeps up with the lies to convince Amalek that his men are righteous and deserving. So Amalek caves. He tells David, well, we just got a batch of fresh baked, so I guess you can have the day-old bread. Well, hook me up, says Dave. So the priest gives him that holy bread. Now check this out. There's this fella Doeg. He's Saul's main shepherd, and he's chilling there that day. Doeg's a violent, evil man, and he spots Dave. And David's like, oh, crap. And he asks Amalek, you got any weapons? I didn't bring any because the king's mission was urgent. Well, lies just keep piling up, don't they? They just keep a-coming. And the priest is like, gotcha, bro. I got Goliath's sword right here. Take it if you want to. So David's like, dude, there's nothing like Goliath's sword. Man handed over. And with that, David dipped out of there. He escaped Saul yet again. But he ends up at Achish's crib, the king of Gath, right smack dab in the middle of the Philistine territory. Goliath's homeland, carrying Goliath's sword. Doesn't make much sense for David to seek refuge in Gath. Of course, things immediately go from bad to worse. So good golly, Miss Molly, what the heck is Dave up to now? Well, that's for next week, because we're wrapping things up for today. But before we shut her down, I gotta ask you, what's it all about? Can you see it? Well, let me give you my 2 cents worth. So old Saul, he's digging his own grave, because he just won't listen to anybody, not even to God. And then we got David, going off God's path because of a few trials. But here's the deal, God's got his own plans and purposes. He's not a fan of the proud, and he lifts up the humble. But that's what the story of Samuel teaches us. It reminds us to trust in God. So let's take a little time to reflect on our own flaws and ask God for his help in dealing with them. Face it, none of us want to end up like Saul. We want to be patient, trusting, and always have faith that God's got our back. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember, put your trust in God and stay humble. And you have an awesome week.